It's another day in the world of F1 2021, and you know what that means. It's time for another car launch. Today, it's the turn of reigning world drivers and constructors champions, Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team, a team synonymous throughout Formula One history with the Silver Arrows branding. Last season, they changed things up. In support of the BLM movement, they moved to the first ever black Mercedes livery, and goodness me, did it look fantastic, not only on the first initial renders, but out on track. That livery looked so special. Could they repeat it with this year's car? As always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all Formula One 2020 news, reviews, podcasts coming in the next few weeks, and keep your eye out for all that great stuff in the build up to the new season. But let's crack on with what you're here for. Let's take a look at the 2021 Mercedes W12 livery. And there it is. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. A similar livery at first glance to last season, but there are a few distinct changes that, for me at least, really changed my opinion on this year's car. Overall, it's a smart livery. You can tell it's a Mercedes, and that's the two main aspects they're aiming for when designing a livery. But for us die-hard Formula One nitpicky fans, there is plenty more here to dive straight into. And let's not beat around the bush. The big change for this year's car is the AMG branding on the rear of this year's Mercedes. This shot here pretty much tells you the full story. And I think it's a bit of a mess. It doesn't work for me. And there's a few reasons why. First up, there's a gradient on this car. You can see very clearly the majority of this car is a black livery with slight tints of turquoise and a couple of flashes of red here and there. However, on the shark fin, on this rear structure above the engine cover of the car, it's silver, and it slowly transitions into the black of the car with a few AMG, a few is an understatement, plenty of AMG branding and logos plastered all over the gradient to try and hide it. Oh, I just really don't like it. And it's something that, if you've been a fan of the channel for a few years now, a couple of years ago when we had the toothpaste Williams, that was something I hated so much, was a gradient. I think Formula One cars look so much better, so much more smart and tidy with clear and distinct lines. Already in 2021, look at that Alfa Romeo car. Look at how elegant that car is. And it's because it sticks to the body shape of what that car is designed to be, but also uses distinct lines to really make certain aspects pop, and others just hide that little bit more. With a gradient, I know it's personal preference, but for me, it really just makes the overall design just look messy. And when the front of the car looks so great, when they have clearly gone for a more minimalistic look with that side paneling, with that one swoop from the front of the car to the back, also from this side, you can see the halo has a turquoise strip as well. That looks really nice and really clean. Just this rear section is so messy. AMG, I think, would have been fine. I think they could have made that work. But with the white AMG logo with a silver background, just becomes a real mess. It's definitely Marmite. I've seen already some of you love this design. I get it, I really do. It's out there, it's bold, it's going to divide opinion. I think the biggest thing for me is when I compare it to last year's Mercedes. The star design that they had on the back of that car instead of the AMG worked so well. And even then, there was a slight gradient on that car, but still, it worked. It was small, it was minimalistic, and on that Mercedes, it looked right. On this year's car, it looks out of place. I will give them props for keeping the red star. It's not quite as prominent as in the last few years' design, but right underneath the Ineos logo and where the halo loops back into the behind the driver's helmet, there is a very small red star there. A really nice touch from Mercedes. But if you can't already tell, I like this livery, but the rear of the car massively lets this one down. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll be joining you there in a moment's time. But before we jump onto our tier list, I don't think you're going to like where I'm putting Mercedes. That's a heads up for you. We're back with lid grid, lid launch, lid review, whatever you want to call it, reviewing our helmet of our 2021 grid. And finally, we've got some designs for the Mercedes boys. First up, Lewis Hamilton. They're not the clearest of images, and I'm sure in the following weeks or so, in the build up to winter testing, we'll get a few better images and close-ups of these designs. But of what we've seen so far in today's launch, Lewis rocking a very similar look to what he used in the end of last season. Looks to be a little bit more black from this particular image, with a few slight variants of purple throughout. Love this design last year, really worked, and I think if anything, it could be an improvement this year's design, but again, we've only got that one image, we can't really see all that much. Valtteri Bottas, however, really changing things up for this year, has used the same helmet design for the last 2 seasons, being at Mercedes. That's different. That is really something else. We can only see it from a side profile, and of what we can see, it's bold. And I really like it. It's got that kind of quirky Daniel Ricciardo-esque style about it, but I will hold full judgment until we see the full thing. It looks great so far, but I need to see more. I need to see more Valtteri, but great work so far. We've also seen helmets from Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and also a new updated version of Antonio Giovinazzi in the past few weeks since the car launches have come out. All of them looking fantastic, especially Sergio Perez. But before we go, it's tier list time. So far in 2021, the Alfa Romeo has been the greatest. It's the only one in the great category, but AlphaTauri, now we've seen it on track as well, looking that extra bit more spicy. It's in the good section, but I feel it should be in great. Might have to change that in the next few days. Average for McLaren and Red Bull. Again, I feel like I'm being a bit harsh this season, but Mercedes, I've done it. They're in the bad category, and it pains me to do it because they were on the verge of something so special again this year. Loved last year's livery, thought it was fantastic, such an improvement, such a change, but the mess on the back of this car massively lets this down. They might change it before the start of the season. It might look better once it hits the track, and I'm holding out for that. I'm hoping for that, because very likely this is the car that'll win the World Championship. We're going to have to wait and see. I'll be back this afternoon with another car launch, this time the turn of Alpine Formula 1 team, the rebranded Renault team. Very much looking forward to that one, so fingers crossed you can join me. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.